Hello, 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 and welcome to today's I Love Real Estate success story. I love these student interviews. You never know really a little bit about the person until you have a bit of a chat, and you're going to find this one today with Vanessa. Going to bring her on very, very soon. Is going to be really interesting in a different way as well. It's so unique. Well, look, what we're going to do, let's just get straight into it. We're right on 12 o'clock. And what I'd like to do is just introduce you to Vanessa. Vanessa's going to be sharing her story of how she's gone from just being a busy mum, young kids, focused on just doing the life things, full-time work, paying the mortgage, all those kind of things, to suddenly turning everything around and getting into full-time property investing. So if you're pretty keen to hear about that, let us know in the Zoom chat and also on Facebook. But let's introduce Vanessa. Vanessa, how are you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having me, Michael. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
It's a pleasure. Look, this is going to be great. This is going to be really good. So look, I really appreciate you taking the time out to share your story, because I know as well there's been a number of other kind of things that you've done online. So people would already probably have seen some of your posts and so forth onto the Facebook as well.
Yes.
So now we're going to get a little bit more. We want to find out a little bit more. Hey.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's do this.
All right. So let's just dive straight in. So, what was your life like before I Love Real Estate? Like, I think it was, you're a busy mum, weren't you? Could you describe that a little bit?
Yes. Just before I Love Real Estate, I was basically being busy, I guess, with life. 2 young kids, 2 and 4 years old back then when I started in 2016, and I was just working full-time, commuting. Back then I used to live in Melbourne. So I had to commute, drop the kids in childcare, and husband also working full-time. Most of the times back then he was traveling interstate for work. So it was an interesting time where I just, go along with just doing the normal, the average, go to work, come back, kids, and then again, and then life like as a busy mum, I guess, and nothing too, extraordinary, but just average, trotting along with the busyness of the day and life in general.
Mm-hmm. So just caught up in the usual things, the mortgage, the kids, all of those types of things.
Pay the mortgage, work full time, pay the mortgage, organize the kids, get ready for the next day, and again, and then again.
Yeah. I'm sure many people can relate. Yeah. So now, what happened when you first kind of came in contact with Dymphna? Because there was a little bit of a hiccup there initially, wasn't there? Do you want to?
It was. So I came across an ad in 2014, and there was a free event, as most of us probably know about it. It used to be like free event. It was in 2014, and I signed up to go. And because it was a free event and it was just busy in that day, I thought, nah, not going. It's free. I can just give it a miss. What I'm missing out anyway. It's a free event. It doesn't matter. So that was 2014, and then I see that again. It's like free event again. So 2016. So 2 years later, I thought maybe I should go. What's this about? I'm going to go and check it out. This time I go. It's free, but I'm going to go.
So you just kind of like saw it, didn't do anything about it for 2 years, and then it came around again. 2 years later, it came around again. Yep.
Yes, and all I can say, like, I wish I'd done that before. Little did I know. But it's okay. It's always best to get started eventually than not starting at all. So.
And now, what did you think about it when you first kind of came in? Like, did you tell everyone else, or what was the thoughts when you first kind of, enrolled back in 2016?
It was a bit mind-blowing because too much information, too much of everything. So it's all new to me, of course. And I actually share with some work colleagues, oh, I signed up for that course. It's going to be amazing. And the feedback that I got is, what did you sign up for? Is this a scam? And it was like pretty much most of the time I would hear that. And okay, maybe I keep it to myself until I see what happens, but start learning and just try to disregard the noise on the background, I guess, because if people don't do it and they're not into it, they don't know. And it can be all too good to be true from the outside. And if you don't know what you don't know. But I just decided to take the learnings, go step by step, and just work through it until I start progressing forward, I guess. It took time. It was not overnight. It took a whole year to do something, but I decided that this is what I supposed to do.
Interesting. It's kind of it's a pretty common thing for people to say, oh, you know, I don't know what it is. It's a scam. It's this and that. So
It's I just the feedback and the noise.
call it noise. I like that. Yeah.
The
So now,
noise.
yeah. So now you, so in your first year,
Yes.
you took a different, well, you took a certain approach when you first started for 1 year because you were working full time. So what did you
Yes.
do in that first year?
So and you know how you have, and I guess I didn't share that with you before, but you know how you're supposed to do the peg in the sand, which I religiously do, and I do it every year. It says to put your goals, your immediate goals and your long-term goals 5 years. And I thought I'm happy to do the 5-year goal, but I need to learn first. So I put my, what's it called? The 5-year +1. And the +1 was the first year to actually get to learn, because there was so many things involved, asset protection and finance and everything new to me. I thought, like, I'm going to allow myself a whole year to get the learnings. And then in 1 year, I would like to have my first deal. I'll take the year to learn while I'm, working and dealing with life. I'll start, asking questions and see how I can pull this off. So it took a whole year. I actually goal set myself to do so. And then from there, I thought, then I start doing deals, because there's no point jumping to something if I don't have the learnings first. So I actually allow myself to learn.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, because there's a stack of info, isn't there?
It's just like at first bookend, it's like information overload. It was like overwhelming. I signed up, and 1 week after I was in the boot camp, I was like, oh my God, what is that?
And you went back to boot camp a few times, didn't you?
First year, 3 times.
So you did the boot camp 3 times in the first year?
My first year, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't get it, the first one. It was just too much. That was the feeling back then, and it's okay. Just go back and revisit and you do it. You have to do whatever it takes. If you learn fast, great. If you don't, like me, just go again until you do. And you still learn anyway as you progress through. You're learning things new all the time, new things all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think someone's just Jacqueline's just posted what she said. It's about the boot camp, because that's how I feel. It's very exciting, though. Yeah, Jacqueline, it's
exciting. It's overwhelming, but it is exciting. It's all at the same time. But just allow yourself time to process the information and go again and ask questions. That it's okay to revisit. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, awesome. Now, because now you were doing that as well, working full time. You've got 2 young kids.
Yes.
And did you take so you took some time off work as well?
No, so I was doing that while working and dealing with. So that's why I go set myself to do the learnings for a year, because I knew the time I had available. And it's interesting to take things on board. For example, when I started it, the very important things that I took on board: get to know you, get to know your time, get to know what you can do, and what are your constraints, and work from there. So I knew that my time was limited, but I could still work through on my commute. So no excuse approach. So I can always work while I'm in the train. Back then I used to live in Melbourne. And I thought, well, if it takes a year, so be it. Let me learn first.
Well, it's certainly got you set up right.
Yes.
So yeah, excellent. So now what happened after that first year? Because you got out there and kind of took a bit of action, didn't you?
Yes, then things start happening, because I did go set myself to learn and then get the first deal in 1 year mark from when I joined. And going through the system and going through what we learned. And back then, I remember Dymphna saying just choose 3 areas and 3 strategies and focus on those based on your, risk appetite, based on what you can afford, and based your time. So I draw circles where I lived. And back then I was 13 kilometers from the city in Melbourne. but I couldn't afford where I live as a deal. So I started looking around and analyzing that. Very simple thing, nothing too complicated, ended up in an area in Geelong that I could afford. The challenge was, I can afford here, how I can get there working full time and the 2 kids and doing the commute. So something needed to change in the routine to actually be able to go to the area and get to know the area. So 6 months I did in learning, then another 6 months, even though I was still doing the learning, I actually used to commute to Geelong. And the way I did that, I wanted to share with you because you have to be willing, right? So I was working full time back then, but it started only at 10 o'clock because they knew I had kids. So I said, look, life is getting too busy and it's too complicated to work. So can I take one day to work from home? And I negotiated back then in 2016, thereabouts. Can I work one day from home? And they said, yep, sure. As long as you work, we're happy with that you take a day that you actually work, but you work from home. So my home on Wednesday became Geelong. So I would drop the kids in the childcare and commute. And for those that live in Melbourne, so I had to then drop the kids in Southeast Melbourne and, commute and go through the Westgate Bridge, all the fun stuff. And back then, and go through that area that I found and get familiarized with the area, familiarized with the agents and build up a team, because the second hurdle was, yes, I wanted to find a renovation. The other thing to do is how I go to do a renovation if I don't have the time. I can have, that money side sorted, but I couldn't physically do it. So I have to figure out a way to do it as well. So there were 2 things to figure out for my first deal. It was an interesting exercise, but if you're willing, there's a way.
Mm-hmm. Now that was back in, that was just 1 year after you joined too, wasn't it? That first deal?
So the first deal, this one that I've done was in 2017, exactly 1 year after I joined. I joined in June 2016, and in June 2017, I contracted in that deal.
Okay. And that gave you how much in profit? That one, the reno deal?
34K.
Awesome.
It's a nice little deal. That's what I could afford and manage back then. It was okay. You just have to get started, I guess. It doesn't have to be the $1 million deal in the first one. You just have to do it.
Absolutely. Get out there and get started. Yeah.
Get started.
Yeah. Good. And then now then you kept on going. You went and did another deal, didn't you?
Yes. So I thought I knew the area well. I knew the agents, and I guess built up a team in there that could do the renovation for me. So a deal came up from an agent that I had a good relationship. He said, like, have a look at it. It made sense. It was very similar to the other one. Of course, the price, even though back then it moved up a little bit, I thought, yeah, it makes sense. I did my due diligence and crunched the numbers. So I went to the second deal, very similar to the first one. And I did 47K profit. The second deal, so just a cosmetic reno flip. Same area, the houses look the same.
Fantastic. So, and that was at a similar time frame as well?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So what are we looking at there? 40, 70, 80, 81K profit from those two.
34 and 47 years, 81, yeah.
Awesome. Now you also did something in the background, another deal there.
Oh yes, in the background, I did the first one as a money partner, as like an investor. So from somebody in the community back then, when I was new and he was new, we decided that we're going to do a reno flip together. And we had a lot of conversations before. I just didn't jump in the deal. So I've been talking to this person for a year, and I saw him, starting. So it was one of his first deals, and mine too was my second deal before I did my second Geelong deal. Thought, well, that's a good opportunity. It's a renovation, it's a reno flip. Great. Little did I know there was not a flip. It was just a reno that would took 2 years to sell. But you learn as you go.
And now, do you want to explain why it wasn't a reno flip?
It was a reno. It was not a flip, but it was a reno because
you were intending it to be a flip, weren't you?
It was all good intentions in there. We went with all good intentions, of course we do. Basically, what we did is he found a deal in regional New South Wales. I think Dymphna call it this area Whoop Whoop Nowhere. So it's there to the left. And like at the town, oh my goodness. So 2,000 people live there. And I now look at those things that I didn't used to. I didn't realize that I had to look at the details of the town and days on the market. And anyway, so we thought it was a good deal when we jumped in. So we went in and he did a renovation. The renovation came on the budget and said, well, we're rocking it. Fantastic. And then we put it on the market and just didn't sell. And then it didn't sell. It took 2 years to sell. It was a very interesting experience because no fault to the JV of myself or the market. It was just, we didn't know what we didn't know. And I learned lots of lessons from this deal. I'm grateful for this deal. I'm very grateful because there's so many things that I look at now that I wouldn't know if I didn't do this deal. Very grateful. And the good thing with this deal is that we had a great communication between the person that was doing the deal and myself. So we didn't hide. We didn't get scared of things that were happening. So we put the property into the market for rental while we're trying to sell it. We had such an amazing communication, no hiding, no shame. It's like nobody's fault. Like we're not blaming and shame. So let's work together. Because of that, by the time we saw the deal, we actually did 2 more. We did it differently though, but we learned. So I'm not ashamed to say that the second deal that I did, and actually went in as a money partner, it didn't go according to plan. And deals can happen like that. But the most important thing, you have to communicate. You cannot hide. It doesn't matter which role you are. You just communicate, work things through, because 2 are better than 1 when you trying to find the solution. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and I got to say that that's it's a credit to you both that you've kind of you continued on, intended to do one way, but despite getting yourself in a situation, then you've carried on and you've still come out not in a negative, but you've learnt a stack as well.
Yeah, there's so many lessons. Like look at the days on the market, look at the population, look at the location that yes, and the interesting thing on this deal is that it was highly positive cash flow. So as you imagine, you actually getting the money coming in, it's very attractive. But because you are it was not the JV, I invested the money, but it's like in a 2-way doing the deal. You both went out so you can do other things with your equity. But it turned out fantastic in a very weird way. But because we worked together, we didn't have any problems actually communicating. So we're communicating weekly and fortnightly. Yes, it was good. No regrets.
Excellent. All right, now around this time as well, the whole kind of opportunity for you to join Platinum came up.
Oh yes.
And you had a very kind of interesting conversation. Do you want to share a little bit about what happened there?
Okay, so when I just joined in 2016, apart from the information overload, I learned about Platinum. It was a different name back then, but I was in Victoria. So I approached the coach back there and I said, well, tell me more about it. And he told me about not only the money commitment, but the time commitment. And I'm thinking, and that was 2016, bear with me because I didn't have any mindset done, any personal development done. For the right, so I have all that. And then I have my work, and then I have my kids. And I told the coach, so you're going to be coaching me at midnight, right? Because how can I fit in? And it was so negative then, I just couldn't say it. It was very early stages of my I love real estate life, put it this way. And the coach just said to me, I don't think you're ready. And I just took, that's it. I'm not ready. What's that? What that's supposed to mean? But it was in a negative sort of connotation in my head because why can they adapt to me? Why I'm not ready? Didn't think of any of that. I let it go, but thinking, well, there's something with this program. Why I'm not ready. But then I moved on and follow my plan of learning. And personal development start kicking because I think the most important thing that I learned from real estate is you have to work on your mindset because the deals will come, the learnings will come, the experience will come, but if you have to work on yourself first.
Absolutely. Key point.
Yes.
So then a little time later,
yes.
you had the opportunity to have a look at Platinum again. And
yes.
and do you want to just describe how different that was?
Oh, absolutely. So So 2018 come around, and I've done the Geelong deals, 2 of them, and I still had my deal in New South Wales stuck, so I was a bit stuck. So I could say how to do deals and do things, but I was stuck in a way that I wanted to do more, and I wanted to resolve that New South Wales deal and learn a bit more. So for I need help, I need coaching. I need to get unstuck, and so I can move forward. So the first thing is I need to get unstuck, and now I need help. So when I approached Platinum, it was not about the program, is how can I fit in, and actually how can I do this? You have to think, how can I do this? And I approached the program, and I couldn't believe it. I got accepted. I was like, oh, that's different now. I got accepted.
But you had a very different attitude when you
I
came
had
back.
a different attitude. I needed help, and it was me figuring out how to adapt to what the program actually gives you. It's not, you just have to fit in on my agenda, on my schedule, because this is how it is. It's not like that. You have to do whatever it takes, and if you need help, you go and get it, and you do whatever it takes. You adjust. So when you need help, that's how it goes.
Very, very different to the previous 2 years.
Oh, I can't believe I had this conversation with the planner in that time. I was like, oh, why he says I'm not ready?
Look, the one thing that I see as well, Vanessa, is that you've persisted through so many different things, and that's really such a key point as well. You've come up against different obstacles and then persisted and continued on, which is a real credit to you. Especially being with juggling life and being a mum with young kids and so forth as well. So awesome.
Thank you.
And then of course now you've working on yourself. That's pretty much key from your side, isn't it?
Most important lessons, no matter your background or anything, is just you have to work on yourself, because there's always a way. There's always a way. You have to keep going, even if you don't see how we end up. It's one step at a time. Take that first step, keep going, keep learning, ask questions, and then go again. And honestly, you're going to bang your head against the wall many times, and you fall off the wagon many times. You just have to go back in, and that's the thing. Go back in. Just don't stay there.
Indeed.
Yeah, I do that all the time, and then there's telling you, Michael, how many deals that it comes through the desk, and then like, I missed out. And talking to people last week, so I missed out in a deal. Say only one. I missed out 3 deals a week, probably. Like I put so many offers, and I do. It's okay. It's part of the process. That's how it goes to get one.
Yeah. Now, look, this is a really interesting point that you brought up as well. So, can you give us an idea, because we were having a chat before, and I think this is a really key point. So, as of this year, you've put a number of offers kind of forward, haven't you? And I want to know how long does it take you to go through the process to be able to put an offer in?
Now it takes me just a couple of hours to put an offer in, because I know the area and I know the strategy, so I know what I'm looking for, and it's very simple to do so. So it might take between 2 to 5 hours to put an offer together. And since January, I put 41 offers this year. I put my 41st, that's how I say that. Yeah, yesterday. So
you put 41 offers in this year, and each of them take between 2 and 5 hours.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. How has it come back to you?
I have 2 days out of the 41 offers.
Got it. So yeah. So look, this is a key point here. You clearly pick it up. It's like, what were you saying? You miss out on 3 offers a week, and so it's kind of like
a problem is around three a week. So like, it's just I put the offers, and you miss out. And you have to know the numbers and don't go into the deal for the sake of going to the deal. I actually went into contracting early in the year with some clauses, of course, because I have a good team, good solicitors. So we had good clauses in place on the contract that we could do due diligence and build and pass and so forth. So actually, one in the beginning of the year, one not so long ago, we actually went into contract but we didn't go ahead because by looking a bit closer and actually working through the due diligence, there were things that came up that was not predicted. So you have those things in place to protect you, so you can crush the contract and renegotiate if needed be. And be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations, I guess, or even in contract. We cannot just go ahead for the sake of going ahead. You have to be very, very conscious of what you're doing. And if the deal doesn't stack up, even if you're in a contract and you have clauses in there, go again, just say, sorry, we're terminating here. That's it. Don't be afraid to do it.
Yep. Now, just there's a couple of questions come here, Vanessa. I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
What Chai was saying, what did you do spending 2 to 5 hours for each offer?
Basically, I did the due diligence. Like, for example, now I'm focused on subdivision. So I do a dive before you dig. I do I check the planning scheme because I'm focusing the particular strategy. I do my numbers and then I submit the offer. So I do due diligence and FISO, knowing the basics of the subdivision from the area that I chose to do so. So it gets simpler as you practice. I think when I started, the first deal that I put in offer, it took me 3 weeks to put an offer. And that was back in 2018 when I first put my offer for subdivision deal. It was May 2018. 3 weeks to put it all together. It doesn't take me that long anymore, but you practice.
Absolutely.
So whatever strategy you choose, it might take you time to sort of figure out the numbers and how long it takes and what to put in the fees and what kind of due diligence you're going to do according to your strategy. But once you do once, twice, and hundreds of times, it sort of go quicker.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you like, I'm not too sure of your name, I'm sorry, but Yulatali? I think that's totally wrong. Sorry. Can you explain what you mean by the offer? Is that a JV offer?
No, it was just offers to buy the deal. Well, I did put seller JV offers, so I'm trying to do my first seller JV. So, and I can see the comments coming and how I do it. So basically put an offer formally in written. So when you put an offer, you can communicate with the agent in written, and then if they accept, you go to contract. Depends on where you are. Of course, that each state is different, and I cannot give you advice. In Queensland, now there's a trend that you actually put an offer in a contract. So you have to be very careful how you do it, and you have to have a legal team behind you and a good team to guide you through so you protect it.
And you've got your team all set up and you've got your whole process all worked out now.
Yes. And the reason I could actually pull out the 2 deals, even though I was in contract, is because I had a good team behind me and we had good clauses and things in place in the contract that allow me to actually crash those 2 contracts. Otherwise, I would be committed to a deal that didn't work.
Good learning there. Yep. Awesome. Now, you mentioned about the subdivision deal. And it was taking a bit of time. Do you want to talk about a little bit of time? You want to talk a little bit about this one because there's a bit of a story to this, isn't there?
I know. Nicole must be listening to this one, my planning coach. So it was stuck in my head that I was going to do a subdivision deal. So first time I tried, I put an offer in was May 2018. No, I put my first offer for a subdivision deal here in Brisbane, and I didn't get it. But I really want to do a subdivision deal and I never gave up. So, and I started putting offers, not as consistent as I'm now. The second one, I think I put in September 2018. And even though I was progressing through the renovation, because it was one of the strategies that I chose subdivision and I really want to do one. Fixated with the idea. So try. And I'm proud to say 3 years later, I got my first one. Yes. Just 3 years, but that's okay. Whatever it takes.
Persistence pays off, hey?
Yes. And what I've done before, that I participate in subdivision deals as a money partner, or actually as an investor. What I've done to make sure that it was the right thing for me is that through the community and people that I knew, like, and trust, not anybody, I saw what they're doing. And when they had a subdivision deal, and they need investors, I would ask, if I was to come in, can I ask questions? Of course, I'm not going to step on your toes because you're developing the project, but would it be okay if I ask questions because it's for my own learnings? Because I can see myself doing what you're doing. I just don't have the confidence and competence right now, but it would be interesting to see a real deal and what happens in real life. So when I get mine, even though I have the learnings, I actually saw something in real life, what happens. So for the ones that I actually participate as an investor, and some of them actually allow me to do a few things just for my own benefit and learning, it was an amazing, because now I'm on the other side as a developer, and I know exactly what the investors were asking and the kind of doubt and fear. I've been there too. So it's interesting how you learn the roles, and then it's your turn to go and do it. You just have to be patient and keep going.
That's such good advice, Jennifer, and such a good way to
Yes.
learn.
Yes, yeah. And I would say make sure that if you do as a money partner or investor, make sure that the deal you jump in, you know the person, and it aligns with what you want to do, because there's no point. Yeah, you like the person, but then they're doing, let's say, rooming a comp, but you wanted to know about renovation. So even though the person you know, like, and trust is doing something different, it doesn't align with your goal. So try to find the ones that actually it's doing what you want to do, and you can see yourself doing, and then it'll make it much easier. It'll make more sense. I guess that's what I do, at least.
Yeah. Did you want to talk a little bit about the due diligence on that? Just expand on that a little bit, because obviously if you're going to be investing with somebody else, you want to make sure that you're looking after your investment and so forth. So how do you, from your side, how do you approach that from the money partner point?
Before I look at the deal, I look at the person, and if I know the person, and if I can, I met this person, I had conversations before, and it's not something overnight that I'll just jump in. I need to know that I'm going to have peace of mind, and I'm going to, I can call like sleep at night test. Can you sleep at night? If you put in money, do you have like the sleep at night test? If you can, that's the first one. So like and trust the person, how they operate. That's a great thing. So then second thing, they bring your deal. Does it align with what you want to do? Because again, many people, many deals, and you might really like this person and admire, but if it's not what you want to do as your own deal, try to find somebody that like and trust that is doing exactly what you want to do, because then you learn. Yeah.
Excellent. And that's what you've obviously done.
Yes,
and that's been
all the ones that I've done, apart from the Renault, the first one, because I was doing Renault, and I thought it was a great experience anyway. After I start progressing through that path, I only look at the subdivision deals because I wanted to do it.
Excellent. And look, because you've kind of gone through the platinum experience and that, and did you want to mention a little bit about what that was like for you?
Yes, it's full commitment. You have to put the time, and you have to be open to learn and be accountable, because you're going to be expected to go set and do homework, for better word. I don't know how. So like you have to go through the modules and be accountable. So when you're trying to do something, you're going to be going through a journey that you set your goals, but then you're going to be talking about them on a weekly basis to accountability buddy, and on a monthly basis on a group. So you say you're going to do it, people expect that you're going to do it. And that makes you accountable, because it's nothing worse than if you say, I'm going to do this, and then come next week or next month, you didn't do it. It's terrible. You actually, you do it. You just do it. And of course that you'll learn about the strategies and about a few things in depth, but you will learn a lot about mindset and how to deal with things that comes up. So it's a great learning. I didn't do only 1 year, I did 2.
And how do you think platinum has changed your approach to investing now, and even possibly life as well, with the mindset changes?
A lot of mindset work, I guess. Persistence and organizing myself, and being able to go set and keep moving on regardless of the outcome. Just keep moving on, keep pushing, because you'll get there eventually. It's just a matter of having that consistency to, no matter what happens, you go, try again, go again, have another go, keep going until you succeed. And you're going to see people around you doing that, and it will motivate you because you're in a group of very, very much like-minded people. So when they're starting to succeed, you're going to get motivated, and you're in a network that it is safe. And when you're struggling, they'll help you too. So it's a great community. I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's just fantastic.
It's more like a family, isn't it?
It's like a family, yes.
It's the Platinum family. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I still talk to my accountability buddies, even though I'm not active in Platinum anymore. We became friends because you do.
Just a final question on Platinum. Do you think Platinum is the reason why you've been able to leave her off and now go in full time?
Well, part of it, yes, because I've been working on mindset quite a lot, and it changed. So I was able to transition because I did a lot of analysis with my coach and like what I'm getting on the full-time work in terms of money, time, and reward, and what I could potentially get and what I was getting already with my small but still interesting deals, because it's how I started. And looking at that, you have to analyze what's worth more. You have to make sure you plan it. I probably did a bit too soon, but yes, you can do it. It helped me get unstuck. The first thing that I did in Platinum was getting unstuck because I had a deal in New South Wales, and I was a bit without direction. Okay, I'm just doing renos, but I wanted to do something different with subdivision, how I go about it. So lots of learnings in that too.
Excellent, excellent. All right, cool. So then now you're at a point where you're actually doing full-time property, aren't you?
Yes. I love it.
Yeah. And the other thing that we probably need to mention is that when you've completed obviously the 2 years in Platinum, but that didn't stop you from going and getting additional learning.
No, I'm always work in progress. Always work in progress. I like learnings, and I get inspired by looking at what the other people are doing, because it keeps me motivated. I see other people doing things that you think, oh, that's amazing. How did they do it? Can I copy that process? And sometimes it's just about reaching out and say, well, it's amazing what you do. Can I ask you a few questions? And most of the time you're going to find that they're open to have a chat. And through the whole journey, since I started in ILRE Real Estate, I have people that they became just friends. It's just family, the way I see things. And most of the time I'm around people that I met through the community. Now, it changed considerably.
Absolutely. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's a community, family is pretty much, yeah, it ties it up.
And don't be afraid. I would say most of the time I didn't come across anybody say, no, I don't want to share. They're usually quite helpful and keen to help you or point you. It's like, okay, I'm not 100% sure about this one, but talk to this person. They might be able to help you. Try that, have a chat. And you do, and then you learn.
Absolutely. Now, you also have gone into with as an M.
Yes, love them.
Yep.
Love their energy. I love their energy. They're so good.
Do you want to describe a little bit about what was the decision-making process for that? Why did you decide to?
It was a no-brainer because I was doing renovation and getting to know a bit more about the creative way of doing it. Because when I started, I had to be creative anyway, how I can do a renovation without actually picking up the tools because I didn't have the time. So if you want to do things creative, I think there's nobody better than those two. They're just amazing, and they use options and other creative ways to actually put together a reno deal that I didn't see. I sort of knew that the concept exists, but I didn't know that people are actually doing it, which is amazing. And the way that they do it attract me because it's just thinking outside the box. So what can I propose to the seller, or how can I talk to the agent? It's just amazing. I took quite a few things out of the learnings from them. And even though I didn't do a seller JV yet, I'm not afraid to ask anymore because just, okay, we can do this way. This is the traditional way, or creative way. We can go in, we renovate first, and then we put in the market. So I tell the agents, you get a better product when you in the end of the deal. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, there's a couple of questions here. Jacqueline was asking, who is Vanessa talking about? As an M, there's students who've now got their own program called the Fast Flip Formula. So you'll probably hear about that. If you haven't already, you'll certainly kind of receive info about those guys. Little dynamos they are, and they've done.
Oh, and just being around that community, the energy that you have, it's if you're feeling you don't have energy, just jumping. It's just shooting. It's like you lift. It's just immediately. It's just a boost of energy. I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's like that. You just feel re-energized every time you're in the Facebook group and you see somebody doing that all their lives. Just you get that motivation and that energy. You just yeah. Not sure how to explain that, but it's great.
Like the Duracell bunny,
Yes, yes.
Now, Chai has another question here. Why did you change your strategy from Reno Flip to subdivision?
Okay, it's a good question, actually, and a valid one. I didn't actually change. I actually added, because when you're doing subdivision, you can still do a Reno in the subdivision deal. And I guess since the beginning, when I joined, I chose 3 strategies, and I thought it was time to act on the second one. So then a few ones, and I found that subdivision was fascinating, and I really wanted to get started on it. It just took a bit of time to find one.
But you persisted and you got there.
Yeah, it's like the stubborn kid. I really want it. I really want it.
Now, Inga was asking, do you get legal advice for each offer, or just use the same terms from earlier contracts?
No, you have to look. I cannot give you advice, but I guess each state is different, so you have to be very careful how you do it, and know the strategy and how you're going to proceed. Because when you put an offer in writing, it's just an offer, you're not in contract. But if you're going to contract straight away, you might want to check with your team, your legals, your accounting, and make sure that everything is spotless, put it this way. Mm-hmm. You have to have your team behind you. Putting an offer is putting an offer. You just have to have it in writing so they present it to the owner. You're not in contract, but once you are in contract, then it's a different story. So you have to have your team behind you.
Absolutely. Now, we've got a question here from Helena on Facebook. She's asking, with who do you do a seller JV? With the real estate agent or the person who sells the property?
Well, I didn't do one yet. So it's, I guess it depends on how you find that property or that deal. If you're talking directly to the owner, then you have to explain to them how it works, and I guess keep it simple. With the real estate agent, they understand the buy and sell, so you have to explain to them that the order would be slightly different, because we're going to be doing something with the property before you actually list it. So, or if it's on the market for agents and they're not selling, so you have to approach that selling agent and see how you can help them get that moving. So you have different conversations depending who you're talking to. If it's the owner directly because it's somebody you know, or if you send a letter or something like that, or if you're talking to the agent, because you have to get the person understanding the process and be on board and show them what's in there for them. It's about them, not about you. And that's something I learned from S&M. It's always about them, never about you. It's always about them. Listen more than you talk.
That's right. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Exactly.
Excellent. So now, like, how is your life? Because we've covered through a lot of different things now. You're now in full time. How has your life changed in comparison to how you were when you first joined?
Oh my gosh. Yes, of course I do that full time. I absolutely love it because I love the journey. And I love being around people and like-minded people. But the most important thing is that the personal growth. I think I never heard of personal development per se before coming to the community, and that mindset shift that you sort of incorporate as you go along the journey, and you're learning different things, because the techniques you can get it, you come back and you listen to the webinar again, and you go to the bootcamp again. But what you get in terms of looking at the examples that you say other students or the mentors or Dymphna talking about how to work on yourself, it's very important, because I was very negative, I guess, or not negative. I just didn't know. I really didn't know. You have to work on yourself. I'm happier now. It goes beyond property. I'm just happier in general.
You can't wipe the smile off your face, Vanessa.
So, I love what I do.
That's
and
awesome.
it's so exciting. Even the challenges, it's like bring them all. It's like, I love it all. The good and bad and ugly, just bring them all. Just get it sorted. you just work through it. And you have to expect that the things are not always rosy. You come across with different situations and difficult, sometimes you have to have that difficult conversation with the agent, and just breathe and do it. I had a terrible one, and I'm going to share that with you, even though it's a bit off script, but I went to a negotiation that I had the selling agent and the owner and my JV and myself. I was actually in the property. The selling agent started screaming at me because he just didn't like what I was suggesting. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like shaking, like right there. And not many people know about this experience. And I was completely shattered. And I thought, what can I do? And somehow the funniest thing is like, it came to my mind, what Dymphna would do? So I just start breathing. And the agent screaming at me. And I go, and just completely, okay, all right, I can handle this. So it came to my mind what Dymphna would do, which is the most weird thing, because it was such a stressful situation. I couldn't just break down and cry or do something about it. I was very nervous in that situation. And I thought I need to get some inspiration right now to handle the situation. And Dymphna came to mind. So I go, I probably have to just breathe first. Yeah, very interesting indeed. But anyway, you learn.
That's really cool. Yes, breathe, just breathe.
Breathe. And I think the agent was getting impatient because I was just taking my time to respond, but I couldn't react. He was screaming at me right in front of the owner.
Wow.
I was like, well, okay. And the JV right beside me, like beyond himself. And then after that conversation, of course, the deal didn't go ahead. He said, how did you handle that? I was broken to pieces by that. I said, because I thought of mental mine, and I think she would say first breathe.
Wow. Well done, hey?
Yeah, so the things you do.
Good to hear. Nice. So Vanessa, how does everything stack up for you now? Like, I know that you've done a number of the deals that you've gone through. How have things stacked up for you from a results side of things?
Okay. In terms of money, time, what do you mean?
Yeah, probably a bit of both. Like, obviously you've got more time. You're not having to work, but how does it stack up? Because I think a couple of those deals, you're getting profits from them. I think the first one was 34, and and then 47 for one, and then there was another one that came in.
And so what we've done is I stopped the full-time work in 2018. My husband is still working, so since then. But what we realized is that while I took the plunge, we still have that sort of certainty, but we could see the path that if we keep going with the property, by some point we can both be actually choosing what to do with our time, not only myself. We did the small deals in the beginning, and then we invested, so we get a bit of interest from then. And now I'm in the point that now I'm actually putting together the deals and offering the opportunity to other people. So it changed slowly. So that's how we're doing now. And hopefully soon my husband can decide what to do with his time. That's the gift I want to give it to him, to decide if he works because he loves or wants or not.
So you've basically managed to get yourself out of work, and the next objective is to get him out of work.
Yes, if he wants
potentially,
to.
Potentially.
Yeah. I think he likes what he does, but being able to choose, it's a bliss.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ah, so cool. So cool to hear. Um, what do you tell others about the community now?
The community
If
is the
somebody, if somebody,
family.
if somebody asks you and says, "Oh, what's this thing about?" I mean, like, if you were to go back to the people that you used to work with, and they say, "Oh, it's a scam," what would you'd have a different response to them?
Oh, I guess it's that you don't know what you're missing out. You just have to be in it. Or maybe not. I don't know. But yes, it's a very life changing, because as you go along the journey, you're going to meet people that will become your sounding board and your friends, and you're going to bounce off ideas even when things get sticky. Having that person on the other, because it's not always the coach that will be right next to you. It will be your peer that is on the trenches and doing something that is similar to you and understand. Yes, it might be in platinum, or you might, ask the I Love Real Estate coaches, which is great, but nothing like picking up the phone and talking to a peer. It's like, oh, this is what I'm at right now. What do I do? It's like, what do you think? And just run past somebody that it's your colleague. It's amazing. They become your friends and part of your team indirectly.
Mm,
It's good to have that. It's a good feeling. And so
fantastic.
many people helped me when I started, and they still are. They're so patient with me because I always ask many questions.
So don't hesitate on asking those questions.
Yes, don't, because you never know where the answer is coming from, and it's just ask for help and buddy up with other people in the community, because most of the time, as I said, they're very helpful. They want to help you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So anything else to expand on with advice for someone new? Because we've had a lot of new students kind of join recently. What
Yes,
would you what would you say to them?
I'd say take one step at a time. You might feel overwhelmed in the beginning. It's normal. I think we all did. If we didn't come from a property or financial background, just take one step at a time, but keep moving forward no matter what. Keep going. Just keep going. You'll get there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, one thing I heard you mention as well, and I'd love to hear your kind of viewpoint on that, and that is the peg in the sand.
Oh, the peg in the sand, yes, religion. Once a year. You have to do it. It's no negotiable. Have to do it.
Why is this? Why is this?
Dymphna says to do it, you just do it. It's important because you get to say many aspects of your life when you're doing it. So it's good to have a quiet time to do it, and do it once a year, beginning of the year, mid of the year, whatever you feel like. And you're going to see how you evolve, and things that are important to you when you do it. It might shift through the years, and things that you want to progress through, that they start to come to fruition, and things that are not relevant. It's interesting to see how you shift. So I still have my first one in 2016, and a few things were not relevant, but the things are very relevant, like family and the time thing. It's very important to me still. The numbers in terms of financial goals, it changed a little bit, but how you progress through, go back, like if you do that every year, after 3 or 4, go back and read what you did in the first one. It's so amazing. You're going
Mm,
to see you might not realize, but you progress very well if you keep taking that advice of, like, keep moving forward one step at a time. Put your goals, set your intentions, and just go and do it. I do that every year. I do the vision board. The beginning I thought was a bit weird, but then I thought it works. It
excellent,
works.
excellent.
Mm.
Peg in the Sand, and for those of you who don't know, the Peg in the Sand is
Oh, yes.
available. It's a digital download, so
Oh,
there's
yes.
no charge to that.
Okay.
We do give them out at the boot camps, which is obviously occurring at the moment if they're live, but we're now doing them virtual, so we give you the virtual one. So you do have that for free, and it's a free download. If you want to print it out, you can do so. But they're fillable as well. You can download them and fill them in.
Yes, I can see the questions coming up. What's the third strategy? Okay, when I started and it didn't change, I picked up renovation, subdivision, and construction. And surprise, surprise, I'm doing my first subdivision now and my first construction now. I just contracted 5 years later, but that's okay. It comes.
There's a key theme here. It's persistence, Vanessa. Persistence.
It just comes. Don't give up.
Absolutely. Awesome. Is there anything else you want to end on? I think we're just coming close to the hour now. Anything else you wanted to share? Did we cover everything? Anything else you wanted to?
Yes, I guess it just, reach out to the community, ask your questions. Don't be afraid to look silly, because no questions are silly questions. Just ask them anyway. And I posted one last week, and just like I had the answer straight away, and somebody said, well, just talk to your lawyer. I said, oh, yeah, that's right. But when you matched the lawyer, they got sorted. Just had the urge to ask. And then the person did, actually, the first answer was the most obvious one. Just talk to your lawyer. Said, yeah, that's right. But yeah.
Good. Vanessa, thank you so much.
Thank
you so much for taking the time out, and I really appreciate your sharing as well.
Thank you.
I know that there's some comments coming through as well. Much appreciative as well. So exciting to hear. Great advice.
Thank you.
Eugene was asking, do you put in written offers sight unseen? Ooh.
Better not to do it. If you do, you have to have a good team on the ground. Because I've done deals interstate, but I have a good team that are my eyes on the ground. So basically, you have to have a mini you on the ground. Otherwise, I won't do it. Dymphna says don't do it. So I think it's a great advice. It's very risky. You have to have a good team right there on the ground, showing you what exactly it is. And then you have your consultants to give you the building pass report and everything that you need. You have to have your lawyer, you have to have your accounting. You have to have a local team. If you don't, just don't. Until you have that team built up, don't do it. Well, it's me.
Well, there you go. Eugene, you got that one. What does Chai say? Love your sharing and attitude, Vanessa. Love your posts on Facebook as well.
Thank you.
Jacqueline. Thanks, Vanessa, for reaching out. Really appreciate it. And lots of other ones coming through. Vanessa, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, you can see all the lovely comments coming through as well.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for jumping in.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there's a whole lot of things coming through on Facebook as well. So look, we're going to have to leave that there. We're just coming through to the hour. I hope you've enjoyed this lunchtime session with Vanessa. It certainly looks like many have, and this session will be available for you to review at a later point in time on Facebook. It's streamed to the Facebook group, so you can always check that out, and then will be edited and put up onto the members only website as well. So Vanessa, thank you so much for spending lunchtime with me. And everyone else as well. Really appreciate that. And
thank you, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll probably see a lot of people on tonight as well. All righty. See you now. Bye.